Well, hi. Hello. What's up? What up? Queenetus here, dudes. I hope you're doing well wherever you are and whatever it is that you're doing. I really hope from the bottom of my heart that you're trying your best to become the ultimate, most powerful yet version of yourself. Just because you MF can. That's that's it. You don't do it for anybody. You do it for yourself. The hell with what people think, the hell with how people act. You gotta stay in your lane. You are a lion. You move for no one. You have a good heart. You have good intentions. You want to help the world become a better place to exist in. Before you die, you want to leave a legacy behind. Anything to help the people. Anything that's going to make somebody else's life more bearable. That's what you're here to do. And in order to do that, you have to become it. Your urge for growth and betterment. Your urge to be of service to others have to be so intense. It has to be so deeply felt that you are willing to go through the torture of growth. It hurts. Oh my God, it hurts. It's confusing. It's never ending. There's always something else, something more, something you forgot, something you failed, something you should have known, something you could have done better, something you should have said better. There's always something to figure out, always to deal with. And then imagine doing all of this in a body that doesn't feel comfortable in itself. Imagine doing all of this that I just mentioned, but sprinkling it on top with some social anxiety, fear, a lot of self-doubt, and hyper-focusing on the very minute details of the 3D world and not seeing the big picture. Guys, we can't see that it's a wall if we're stepping right in front of it with our nose step right up to it. Like we cannot see that it's a wall. If we continue living life hyper focused on what others did to us, onto focusing on why is it that we continue to fail, why is it that we feel like losers, why is it that it's so hard. I mean, yes, it is hard. Yes, yeah, it is torture. Yeah, it is terrible. Like you have to be really like strong to succeed in life on all fronts. I'm not just saying financially, I'm not just saying emotionally, I'm not just saying spiritually, I'm not just saying physically, socially. I mean, there's so many fronts that one has to be successful at in order to have a successful existence, if you want to put it in those terms. It's not just about money, it's not just about relationships. It all starts with self. So in order to be happy, like truly, truly happy, we must go through the pains and the exertion of the process of growing and expanding and becoming and stretching our mindset, our boundaries. We need to start looking at failure on a different level, from a different way, from another angle. Check this out. Not too long ago, I used to be the kind of person that will always persevere, yes, but when you reach the point of exhaustion, I will like lash out, meaning with myself, like, oh my God, I can't get it. Ah, damn. Now it's so different. I'm like, inside of me, I'm like just the whole entire time thinking, all right, come on, bring it on. Whatever it is that I'm doing. It doesn't have to be music. It doesn't have to be work. It doesn't have to be social pressure, being put on the spot, dealing with anxiety. You know what I mean? Like those things, doing those things that make you anxious on top of creating pressure, meaning your responsibilities plus anxiety. For an example, today I was working and I got a call from a really good friend, actually. And I was helping her with something on YouTube, and I was in the middle of work. And she kept on getting frustrated because she wasn't getting it. Whatever I was explaining to her about how to upload a YouTube video and doing this and that, she wasn't getting it. She's younger. She's the daughter of my really good friend from childhood. And we chat, and I'm just like, no, check this out. Failure just means that you get another opportunity to just continue practicing that thing. Like, if you go back on my podcasts this year, like in January, you can see the difference. Yes, I always liked talking and I always had something to say. But I failed at it so much that I am now failing at it a little better, with a little more grace. Just because I've been practicing. The same goes for you. Like when you're doing something and you fail and you have that voice in your head telling you like you suck, or that voice in your head that tells you start screaming and act frustrated. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to have double the work. Whenever we get frustrated and start like lashing out and being like, oh, this, that, I give up, blah, blah, blah. We have double the work because we're going to go back to it. Eventually, we're going to go back to it, if not minutes after. But now you have to calm yourself down from the tantrum that you just threw because you just felt frustrated. I mean, I was so guilty of that. Because it's hard. It takes a lot of emotional endurance to learn something new, to create a daily habit, especially when it's a good, healthy daily habit. It takes a lot of work. It takes a strong, courageous person to follow through. Are you a strong, courageous person? Do you believe that you can add value to this world through what you love doing? then let's go. Lead from your heart. Train your mind to become healthier and healthier. Meaning, cut all of your toxicity from your life. I don't care if you end up alone in a room for the next 2 years, aka what I did. I focused on me, and it wasn't always fun. But I can guarantee you it was well worth it. The best thing I have ever done in my life, to take myself seriously. That's the thing. I've always halfway took myself seriously, or I took myself seriously from an ego standpoint. Oh, but when you take yourself seriously from your heart, from your kindness of understanding yourself and accepting yourself, and focusing on giving yourself all the validation that you need from others, and really digging deep into all of those things that make you you, just taking the time to do that. Yes, it feels lonely. But doesn't it feel more lonely when you're surrounded by people and you feel lost, like you don't belong? Well, that happens because you are surrounded by people that do not match who you truly are. So today I invite you to have the courage and the strength to start looking at failures differently. Every time you fail, it's practice to become better and better and better and faster and faster and faster and kinder and kinder and kinder, and all of the good things in the whole entire world that you can become. All of those things you can become. More patient. I think my favorite word back in the day, and I'm talking back in the day, was I can't. Even when I will start like free-flowing lyrics, like singing, I remember I used to jam a lot. I will always start in Spanish with no puedo, no puedo, I can't forget you, or I can't remember you, or I can't do this. It was just like embedded in me. So imagine what I had to go through as a child, because I felt all this strength. I felt all this fearlessness that I've always felt. But I was programmed by my surroundings, by my upbringing, by half of it, that everything was hard, that what I loved doing really didn't pay bills, that I shouldn't really try to make my own mold. I should follow others. I was always like the outcast, and I always was very split. But when you finally grow up enough and mature enough to know what you really need to know to do in order to master self, to become really happy and stop feeling so empty and depressed on the daily, is to start looking at fear and failure differently. Just next time you get frustrated and you get obstinated and you start feeling depressed and lonely and whatever, just know that every time you go through that experience, you become better at that experience if you have in mind that all you're doing is focusing on yourself. Meaning, don't just put yourself through that pain and torture, for example, being alone, not calling anyone to hang out, but then the next day go ahead and do it. No, you have to really, it's like spend time with yourself and like focus on yourself. Like, hey, I'm gonna focus and do everything that I've always wanted to do I was a child, when I was a teenager, when I was whenever. Like, I had a certain list of dreams, or I have been planting seeds forever. We all have. So now take them seriously. That's what happened to me back in 2019. I started putting all of my pots of plants that I had planted since the beginning of times of my existence, and I started tending to those first before any relationship, any friendship, any drama, anything that didn't add value to my life. I erased it from my life. I started looking at failure differently. I understood that the only way to succeed was to become friends with failure. You can't beat yourself down every time that you fail at something, because life is full of failures, but it's also full of successes. It's also full of happiness. Till next time.